Hello there guys and welcome back to the channel. So we're back again with another Alliance War video. This time it's off season, so we're not really taking the war overly serious. It's against a new nation, and for this war we basically kind of decided to skip the middle, go and do the first three paths and the last three paths and ignore paths 4, 5 and 6, just to kind of like save some items and get some rewards for clearing Alliance warm-up. And yeah, so first fight is against that weird immunity thing, Void, and it's actually a very tricky way to find a counter for this guy, because against Void you kind of have to have those debuffs on unless you take a lot of damage, so it's a really tricky placement and has been there for quite a few seasons. And I think Omega Red is one of the kind of like better options in fighting up against that Void. As you can see, you still lose health because of the debuff and because the Void is stacked, but you can kind of manage it. Most of the other champions just melt their life away there. But next fight is gonna be this Psychic Thorns Modok, and I did not really have too many great options against this guy. I probably should have brought in Omega, but I might have gotten a bit overconfident, and I figured I'll go in with Nick Fury. What's the worst thing that can happen? I have like double life, right? Double life should easily cover the Psychic Taunts. But as you can see here, the Psychic Taunts damage is no joke, and I don't really have too much, I haven't done too much damage in all this time, and we can clearly see that my health is dropping immediately. So, and then on top of it all, I also eat a level 1, so it's not looking too good for me at this point. And this is actually going to be a really clutch fight. So yes, spoiler alert, I do manage to get out of this fight alive. I do not time out. I do actually defeat this Modok. And as soon as I saw that spiked armor damage, basically my health completely disseminated. I just knew that I need to do something a bit different. And what I started doing is just attacking Modok's block, because as we all know, Modok has absolutely rubbish block proficiency, and we can see that slowly but surely he's going down. And if I look at the timer, then at 2-minute mark he's exactly 1/3 of his health down. So with that idea, and considering that later on I'm going to get him to Assassin's range, and I'm getting that Fury with Nick Fury, that increased my damage by quite a bit. So I am somewhat confident, but at this point I'm at 23% health and he's still at 36% health and a minute and a half left in a fight. So it's definitely not an easy fight by any means, and I just need to make sure that I don't actually hit the guy. I need to make sure that I actually attack only his block if possible at all. Unfortunately there I did intercept him by accident, so that leaves me on 17% health. And yeah, so this is a bit of a nail biter fight, but hey, modern problems require modern solutions, and in this case it is just hit Modok's block a lot in order to avoid the Psychic Taunt damage. I landed another hit, so I'm left at 9%. If I make the same mistake again, I'm probably toast. But Modok is only on 10% health as well, so you can see that I still have a minute left in this fight. Modok doesn't really want to be too cooperative at times, but I managed to still get to his block. And here you can see that 1%, 46 seconds left, and Modok is down, and we didn't die. So I was actually quite happy with this fight. It was a very, very bad decision to bring in Nick Fury, but it worked out, man. It worked out. So next fight, I'm going to be going up against that Mr. Fantastic. I was kind of like checking which mini-boss should I take, which would be a bit easier to do linked. And then I decided to go up against this Mr. Fantastic. I gave my Nick Fury 1 health potion. I think that's the only item I'm going to be using this war. And yeah, I'm going to be bringing in Nick Fury against this Mr. Fantastic. I'm just double checking that he isn't a control defender. I didn't think he is, but you're always better off double checking, especially with Flow, because Flow can mess you up so quickly. But yeah, so there is nothing too tricky in this fight now. As soon as I land my first level 1, I'll be safe from his evade as well. So I have to play careful up until the point where I land first level 1 and bypass all of the evade effects, which is exactly what I do right now. And basically at this point, I'm just kind of like good to go. I did want to bait out his level 1, but he does not seem to be willing to throw it. So I checked his power meter, I checked his health bar, I figured I'll just try and push for it, and then he immediately drops his level 2, which isn't not too tricky to avoid either. Another combo and he basically goes down, so relatively simple fight there for Nick Fury, obviously, because he hits like a tank once his LMD is destroyed. And now a bit later on, I'm going to be jumping onto section 2. In section 2, once again, I'm going to be taking path 2. And path 2, first fight is an encroaching stun fight. And it is quite scary. Dr. Doom over there. Now, once again, I'm checking whether Dr. Doom is a control defender, and he is not. So that's cool. So I obviously had options which to bring in, but once again, I'm going to decide to go in with my Nick Fury, because Nick Fury, after his LMD is destroyed, is actually stun immune. Obviously, I do have to be wary of Dr. Doom's aura, especially if Dr. Doom is awakened, which he is here, because he can nullify my Fury's Fury if he has aura active and he makes contact. So the plan here is I just want to bait out his level 1, I can ignore the encroaching stun, and then I want to play keep away up until such point as that aura expires, and then I can go back in again. But he didn't seem to be too willing to drop his level 1, so I just decided to push him to level 2, take any block damage if I'll have to, drop my level 1, and it turned out that Nick Fury has enough damage to simply finish off the fight without having me bait out any special attacks, so it all worked out. But yeah, could have potentially be in a very, very tricky situation over there. So next fight, now we're going to be up against Killmonger, and this is Oscillate and Empowered Immunity Nodes. So I'm going to be using my Omega Red for this one, because obviously Omega Red can bypass Killmonger's reverb damage, which is the main thing that I'm worried about in this fight. So you can also see that this Killmonger has Suicide Masteries, which is going to make my job a lot easier, because every time he's going to activate a special attack, he's going to take recall damage, so that's definitely going to help me to bring this guy down a lot quicker. So I'm trying to stick largely to kind of like medium, light, medium combos, not to push my luck too much with that reverb damage as well. And obviously, as soon as Oscillate kicks in, he goes super defensive, and I don't really want to kind of like interrupt it too much. Now here I made a mistake. I was a bit too slow on my heavy attack, and he could have potentially punished me really hard and killed me. I was lucky that he didn't, but now at this point the fight's pretty much in control. So we have the degen from heavy attack active. It's only 6 spores, but still he takes some recall damage, and decide to go for my level 3, because if he does survive that level 3, I'm gonna get some healing in. And additionally, he should probably kill himself if he throws another special attack. So that was kind of the plan, to drop my level 3, hope he survives, and get a bit of healing in before he kind of like kills himself. So that worked out well. We got some extra health back. And now next fight is going to be this Mysterio and Buffet. But as we all know, Buffet has been kind of broken. And even if it isn't, I do plan to go in with Warlock. And Warlock should have a fantastic matchup here. Because even though Mysterio is a control defender, if he has willpower and or Suicide Master is active, I should be able to reverse quite a lot of power gain, and I can dish out a lot of damage with my heavy attacks, thus not risking flow too much, because Mysterio is a control defender, so you have to be extremely careful here. And yeah, so far so good. As you can see that Buffet does trigger, but it's not too big of a deal at this point anymore. And our infections are doing in work. He's degening and losing power consistently. Now I will make a silly mistake here just because of habit. And I have been using a lot of champions where I basically chain my special 2 to a heavy attack. Obviously you cannot do that with a single hit heavy attack champions, but for whatever reason that is exactly what I decided to do here, and I basically dropped my level 2 straight after I used the heavy attack, and obviously that got blocked and then I got hit in the face a bit, but hey, you know, silly mistake. I did not kind of like find justification for that in my head. I didn't know what I was thinking, but it was just a silly mistake. Luckily though, the fight is over, we managed to win it, we still have some health left, so it's all good. So I left that Mordo, which is also benefiting from flow defensive tactic, to a teammate of mine who had full Ghost Trinity, so he could just tank the level 3s. Now next fight is going to be Killmonger, and unfortunately I will end up messing up a bit in this fight. I was super lucky that this Killmonger does in fact have Suicide Masteries active, so it means I can largely play around just baiting out the level 1s. The problem starts when he doesn't really want to throw these level 1s, and I get kind of like pushed to the corner a bit. So I will end up, unfortunately, losing a champion in this fight. because I will, well, quite simply make a mistake. I will accidentally hit his block while he has 2 of those charges active, and that's gonna cost me. And yeah, so that's far from ideal, but knowing that this guy has suicides, I knew that I can finish him off with Warlock afterwards, and that shouldn't be too big of a problem. And yeah, as you can see here, already he's down to 37%. Obviously at this point counter tactics gave him massive attack boost. Hit his block, he went unstoppable. That's again a rookie mistake. I definitely should have focused a bit more in this war, but overall I was relatively happy with how it turned out. And yeah, so I'm coming in now with the Warlock here to finish off this fight. And it should be super easy with Warlock, because as soon as I get the infection on, he's going to be consistently degenerating and also taking damage from suicide bleed. So it should be a relatively easy job for Warlock to finish off. Obviously the reverb damage is still a real problem, but the fight's pretty much over, so I didn't take too much damage either. And the next mini boss is Havoc, and that's obviously again perfect food for Warlock, because Warlock has that armor up buff, Warlock has class advantage, Warlock has power control, Warlock has a lot of great things going on for him against Havocs, and that is exactly what we're going to use here. And also thanks to the power drain that Warlock has, I don't really have to worry too much about that strike back node, because even if I push him to level 3, he's going to immediately start losing power, and he's not going to be able to shoot off that level 3. And as soon as I get to level 2, basically I will not hesitate to use it. And thanks to infections and suicide masteries, that Warlock, Havoc is already at like 40% health, so the fight's pretty much in the bag. Here I go for level 2, couple of crits in there, couple of armor breaks, decent amount of damage, and yeah, we can see that Havoc is already nearly dead. And now this is pretty much the last fight of the war as well. So the war is still ongoing. We do not know who won, but I think they will have this one. But either way, I hope you guys enjoyed the video. If you did, hit that like button, hit that sub button, and I'll catch you guys soon. See ya!